you. YouTubers, please give me a shout out in comments. Let me know it's not the sound of one hand clapping that you're watching. If you watch this on replay, please type replay. If you watch it live, type live. Tell me the city and the country you're watching from. I'd much appreciate that. I want to talk to you today about how do you accomplish what you got to accomplish, your goals, your projects, whatever you got, a heck of a lot faster. And there's two elements to this. We're going to do part A and then part B. Part B is the advanced, part A is the basic, all right? So you might want to get a pen and work through this as we're doing it, pen and paper or a notepad on your laptop or computer or phone or whatever. All right, so last night in my Fast Track, which is my Wednesday night mentoring, you can get a trial of it at fasttrack.club. What we did is we took an old goal-setting formula by Zig Ziglar, and it's really fascinating because I had a friend named Juan L. Teague who built a whole very successful consulting practice off of this really, really freaking simple formula. So here's how it goes. Think of an important goal, like a stretch goal that you want to accomplish. Good morning to you. Give me a shout out. Let me know what city, country you're watching from. We're doing a part A and a part B. Part A is going to be basic. Part B is going to be more advanced. So part A is we were doing this, and so step one is to set out your goal, a stretch goal with the limit for the deadline for its accomplishment. That's nothing new. I realize that. Step number two is you're going to write down the benefits in your why for reaching the goal. That's important. Why? What's your why? What are the benefits? Step number three is where things deviate. This is the Zig Ziglar formula. He wrote this in the book Over the Top. Step number three is to write, and this is what nobody ever does. You write down the obstacles to accomplishing your goal. When Juan L. was doing this, a consultant, she'd make people write down 40 obstacles. Literally, she would dig that deep, right? I think when I did it, I got to 27, right? But you really put some thought into this. What are all the obstacles to you being able to reach this goal? You write down all of them, everything that comes to mind that's an obstacle. Then step number four is you write down what knowledge or skills do you need to overcome those obstacles. Now, Juan L. would do this obstacle by obstacle. For each obstacle, she would have you write down the knowledge or the skills that you need to overcome that obstacle. When Zig Ziglar taught this, it was just for the overall goal, what knowledge or what skills do you need to overcome that obstacle? Then step number five is what people or organizations can help you overcome that obstacle and reach the goal. And then the last step is put together your plan of action. Now, that's part A. That's simple, but nobody does it. Like Napoleon Hill told you definiteness of purpose, like what, chapter 2 in Think and Grow Rich, chapter 1 or 2. And he told you to have a goal and a deadline for its accomplishment, but he said to create a plan, but he didn't tell you how to create a plan. This is how you create the plan. But now there's a point B to this. And yeah, I'd like to know if y'all are interested in this. Like somebody came on and just popped off within 15 seconds. If you're not interested in goal setting, I won't talk about it again. I'd like to know if it freaking matters to you. It's extremely important because nobody does it. And it works. It really focuses you, helps you overcome overwhelm, and it flat out works. So I'd like to know if you're interested in it or not. Anyway, step number B is the advanced version of this formula. And this is where the info product business comes into play here. Because a guy named Vern Harnish, I think that's his name, wrote a book called Rockefeller Habits. So he took what was basically the goal-setting formula we just covered, the original Zig Ziglar formula that he taught for probably 30 years, had a planner too. The Zig Ziglar planner is great. They have a leather one over on Amazon that is gorgeous. Really, really nice planner. And what I loved about Zig Ziglar's planner is you had your goals, but then he had you write each day your action, at least one action step for each goal. Tip there, right? Really cool. So anyway, Vern took that goal setting formula and built it out into a thing called the Rockefeller Habits, I think he called it, right? And it was basically a goal setting system and had a lot in common with Zig Ziglar or probably any other goal setting system, but he added unusual names to it, like the rock was your emotional connection to the goal, just like Zig Ziglar said, we're writing down the benefits of reaching the goal. He called it the rock, right? And he had these clever names for your quarterly review and all of it, and really great charts. He built this thing. I mean, this is a big business. He built this method out into a really big business working with businesses. And the point for the info product business is you can take the simplest idea, and if you package it up, you add unique names to stuff. You create your own graphical identity of the different things. You can blow this up. I mean, I don't know what Vern Harnish is, but I've seen his marketing and stuff, and does these seminars for corporate, and they're not cheap. I mean, he built that thing up into a really big business, and it's all packaging, right? It's all packaging. And so if you want to make more sales, think about it. A lot of it is just your packaging. You got a great idea. Great ideas are usually simple. They're not real complex. I think Vern added a level of complexity to it so it would be unique. Certainly not overly complex. Neither was Stephen Covey. And look at what a huge, massive, gigantic, enormous business that is. And then he added to that packaging. So, the famous P's were, one of the famous P's of marketing is packaging. But people today, I think packaging is more important than it ever been because of the glitz and the glamour on Facebook, on Instagram, and so forth. I think your packaging is probably more important today than ever. So I think the key takeaway, and let me know if you're interested in this. Let me know if this resonates with you or not, or you give a flip. Let me know if you watch this on replay. Let me know if you watch it to the bitter end. But do you care about goal setting? Do you care about packaging? Do you care about hearing about this? And if not, what do you want to hear about, right? What do you want to hear about? I can only do so many live streams about traffic, I mean, I'm happy to do more, but, if you don't get it after the first 20 live streams, how many more live streams do you need? Right? You say if you're not getting it, then you probably got other issues going on there, like you're not setting goals, you're not pulling out all your obstacles, you're not accessing the people and the organizations that can help, you're not putting in a plan of action. And what part C of this, so Vern Harnish built this out in a huge business. Now, part C is where it gets really interesting and fascinating, is that guy named Mark Hamilton came along, created a thing called Neotech. Now, I'm a Neotech fan. I've done other videos about Neotech. And Mark's version of it was actually called NeoThink. His, I think, father-in-law was Frank Wallace, and he created Neotech, trademark. And then I believe Mark Hamilton came along, his son-in-law, and created what he calls NeoThink. Frank Wallace passed along at age 70 or 80 when he was jogging, got hit by a car. And Mark Hamilton took the business over. And so, but Mark had, and you either love or hate him, I don't know, like some of his stuff is highly philosophical and out there, but some of his stuff is sheer brilliant. And he shows you how to accomplish more in a day or 2 days than a lot of people do probably in a month using an interesting method. You take the activities that make up that you got to do to reach your goal. First of all, he has you do what's called power thinking, which is taking that goal and then doing a reverse vision of it where you have the end goal, you work all the way back. You work backwards to get all the steps to reach the goal. Then what you do is what are called physical movements. Not projects, but physical movements. A physical movement is, okay, in order to reach these goals, I got to do writing. For me, my physical movements are like writing, graphic design, contacting people, and then operations stuff, right? So then what you do is you do reverse power thinking on each of your goals. Now you got this list of activities for each one. Now you look at what are the physical movements for those activities, and you flow those into your schedule under like writing, design, operations, contacting people. You flow those into the schedule. But here's what I think is most unique about it is you can work on 3 projects, 4, 7 projects at a time, whereas normally you work on projects sequentially. With Mark Hamilton's method, you can work on them simultaneously because under your writing, what he calls a mini day, you could be doing writing for 3 or 4 projects. Under your design in a day, you could be designing for 3 or 4 or 5 projects. Same thing on operations, same things on contacting people. You'd be contacting people related to 2, 3, or 4 projects. And so now you have these little mini days and you have these physical activities that allow you to be really intense, which is how you accomplish a lot more. So you say, this is my writing mini day. I've got this, and this, and it's related to different projects. You get really hunkered down on it, get really, really intense about doing that. And so it adds this whole level of intensity to your day and allows you to simultaneously manage multiple projects instead of only managing one project at a time. This is a huge breakthrough. Nobody ever does this. It's a really fascinating thing. And if you look up Mark Hamilton, NeoThink, you'll find his books that are available. They're big and thick. And again, some of his stuff is highly philosophical. You may or may not like it. You need a pretty good reading comprehension to understand some of the things he's talking about. You probably have to read him 3, 4, 5 times to understand some of them. But some of his stuff, like on his marketing and business, running a business stuff, is just brilliant. Because then he takes all of this, he flows it, you flow it, your activities into your daily schedule by physical movements in what he calls little mini days. So each mini day, so writing is a mini day, graphic design is a mini day, contacting people is a mini day. All of those can be done in one day, but they're established as little mini days where you're simultaneously flowing activities into them from multiple projects. Then he has a whole system for outsourcing and working with people that are called tracking reports, which is a whole nother level of detail of tracking tracking the activities that are done on projects using what are called tracking reports. So it allows him to have ironclad control on having other people that are outsourced or employees, but having iron level control of the activities and reports. So each tracking report has other reports. So you have tracking activities. For each tracking activity they're responsible for, they turn in a report. It's really interesting, crazy stuff. Hi, Arian, how are you? JD, shout out to you. Yeah, JD, thank you for that. You might learn something about marketing, though, if you want to go out and promote and market the gospel. You might want to start with learning something about marketing. All right, so, and that's what we're doing today, is we're talking about marketing. All right, so these ideas I think will be really useful to you and helpful to you in accomplishing your goals. Whether you want to do level A, Zig Ziglar, have your goal, your benefits, your obstacles, the knowledge skills you need to obtain to go, the people and organizations that can help you, in your action list. Flow that into your calendar. Make sure every day you're doing something on your goal. On each goal, make sure you have one activity at least per day. That's Zig Ziglar. Level 2 is Vern Harnish, Rockefeller Habits, whole structure built around it, whole system built around it, really interesting stuff. Or level 3, a whole different level, is NeoThink by Mark Hamilton, which I find to be incredibly fascinating and interesting. And it works. It really works, right? The secret to the NeoThink is being able, because if you do that and you have your mini days, but you're not intense on them, you're not going to get more done. The secret is, because you batched by activity, you're able to be intense on it and get a lot more done. All right. Hey, let me know if this interests you. Let me know if you care. Let me know if this helped you or not. Let me know if it gave you ideas. Let me know what city, country you're from. And let me know what topics about marketing and making sales you're interested in. Y'all have a great day.